welcome to Money and Margaritas. Today I'm going to be interviewing Annalisa here. Cheers. And we are not drinking margaritas today. We're road tripping and visiting. We've got some whiskey here and some Chardonnay, and we're going to be going through some debt-free journey questions today. All right, so let's learn a little bit about you. Annalisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a 34-year-old engaged female to my human who I met a couple years ago. I am currently a law student and going to graduate in December of this year with plans to pay off all of the law school debt.
Okay, so how much student loan debt will you be looking at having in December when you graduate?
Right now it's looking at like $245,000.
Wow, that's going to be pretty hard to. So, obviously you've been involved in debt-free community stuff for a while. What got you started on this debt-free journey?
Well, I graduated with my undergrad in 2010 during rough times in the economy and thought that I had started my career that I wanted for the long haul, and that was not what it ended up being at all. And I was at a crossroads where I was trying to decide, what do I do next? Do I switch and go back to school? Do I just try to go find another career? Do I go back into sales before I had my degree? I did a lot of weighing because one of the things that I preach about all the time is that you can't invest in an education and take out loans that you can't ever repay. So I compared social work degrees, masters of social work degrees here in California that run about $80,000 to $90,000 a year typically, versus a law school degree which upwards of $200,000, and what the earning potential of each of those are, and then the scope of which I could do after you graduate, right? So could I be a social worker and just be a social worker for life because my heart likes that work? Or should I go and get a JD and be able to be an attorney for a while, and then I can run a nonprofit and I can, open my own business or my own firm, or I have a lot more flexibility. And so after weighing out all those things, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do law school. It's more expensive, but in the long run, it'll be worth the investment and return.
Yeah, so if you're gonna go into big debt, then make sure that at least the end result is a lot more income, hopefully, or at least the potential for a lot more income, for sure.
Correct. That was my big concern with recommitting to more student loan debt.
Yeah. And do you have a background in law or anything like that? Like what job were you leaving before you got into this?
So my undergraduate degree was in criminal justice. My plan was to work in either probation or law enforcement for an entire career. Like I said, I graduated in 2010 and there was little to no jobs. So I accepted a job in rural Northern California, and it was not a good fit for what I had in mind for my career, and immediately had to redesign my path of what I was going to do because I knew that that was not going to be where I wanted to be for the long time.
Okay. So we're talking about a lot of debt here, right? We're talking about over $200,000 in debt. My understanding, though, that you've been debt-free before. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So being single and wanting to go back to law school, which is a huge commitment, obviously, I was carrying what we would be normal debt, right? Car payment, I had a personal loan and a handful of credit cards, and a career that paid decent, but I was extended every month by minimum payments, essentially. And so when I decided to go back to law school, I knew that if I started, that I wasn't going to be able to just quit because it was so expensive, and that I needed to do whatever I could to get rid of all of those mini payments every single month to start law school fresh, right? So I continued working my 40-hour week job, and I picked up a second job where I worked typically on Saturday and Sunday. And I worked both of those jobs for about 18 or 19 months or so. And I used all of the money from the second job to pay directly towards debt. And then my regular budget came out of my 40-hour week job. I worked almost 7 days a week, with the exception of taking like a couple extended weekends all the way through. And I was able to pay off, I didn't track it like I do now, but around 35,000 between a car payment and personal loan and credit cards and all of that. So when I started law school, the week of law school, I had $400 of debt left, and I paid it on the next pay period, knocked it out, and started the journey.
Nice. So you're basically debt-free today, and you're going to be in a lot of debt, and you're engaged now, so it sounds like you've got your debt-free journey is joining with him. How did that go about, and what does that look like?
Well, I did my first debt-free journey solo out there by myself, and I started law school, and I was still working during the day and going to school at night when I met my human. And when we first met, I'm rather aggressive in personality, so I of course started one of our first date nights out by asking, really intrusive questions like, so what's your credit score? Like, oh, do you have a car payment on this truck? Or, like all these questions. And I feel like most people would be like, oh God, who is this? And fortunately, knock on wood, he was exactly the opposite. He was very intrigued and excited that somebody was willing to have that awkward conversation out the gate. Because while he wasn't on quote unquote a debt-free journey, he is a natural saver and doesn't buy a lot of little things. He buys his things that he likes, but he saves for them and buys them in cash. Other than when we met, he just had a car payment and a mortgage payment. So similar mindsets. When we met, the first year that we dated, it was, we didn't really talk about it. We just kind of had similar ideas that, let's not go crazy and spend a whole bunch of money. After a year of dating, and he was working on a career change, and I was, a couple years into law school, there was possible relocation coming for his career change. And so what we kind of sat down and did was, well, maybe if we move in together, we can consolidate some of the payments. And so he asked, well, what payments do you have? And I was lucky enough at that point to say I don't have any payments. I literally have a cell phone payment and my car insurance and my house or my condo that I rented. That was it. And so if I got rid of that, I didn't have anything. And so being the angel that he is, he said, well, move on in and I'll cover your cell phone and cover your car insurance, and you manage the rest with your savings to get you through law school. And I was able to quit working and take extra classes to graduate a little bit early than planned. So that was the second phase of our relationship, when we moved in together and he covered some of the bills, but we weren't really sharing accounts yet. After, when we relocated here to this house for his career, we were able to sit down and really dive into budgeting, paying off his car, and discussing what the projection was for this enormous amount of law school debt. So we've spent hours and hours in the last year working on the future plans and how that's going to look and what that's going to look like, and saving as much as we can this year to cash flow the wedding that we're having, and then prepare for a little larger than normal non-Dave Ramsey emergency fund. So that way I can invest all of my salary that will be coming to pay off the loans.
So $240,000 in student loans, you'll probably never pay that off, right?
No, that's why we're here, right? Again, I said I was aggressive, and my plan is to work at a firm that pays well here in the Bay Area and sacrifice some of our living goals and everything right now, where we continue to house hack and keep our budget really low. So all of my income will go directly to the student loan payments. And right now we're anticipating that we're going to refinance them and a private lender to lower the interest rate from the federal loan rate right now, knocking the interest rate probably in about half. So that'll save us about $600 a month alone in interest, and drop it down and then dump all of my income in. So we're guessing, depending on, job contracts and everything like that, to be debt-free again come 3 years or so.
Kind of to recap too on what she's sharing here is her human has really stepped up to be able to take care of things. So she set the groundwork with the whole first debt-free journey, which kept her expenses really low. And then he stepped up to be able to say hey, my income can take care of most of the household needs. And now they're going to increase her income that can tackle that kind of debt, and basically all of her income can go to tackle the debt, is what I'm hearing.
Correct. And so the plan again is to just not let the lifestyle creep come in, right? Like we'll literally be over doubling our household income, and we're not going to run out and buy a new Range Rover. We're not going to buy a new house in, you know, the Bay Area. We're not going to do those things for a reason, because the hope here is that we can get debt free again and do it quickly. We don't feel like we're stuck in this cycle for a very long time.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot harder if you had car payments. I mean, if you guys both had large car payments and credit card debt and other looming debts, I think that student loan debt would be a whole lot more intrusive on your life.
Correct.
To be, to be able to handle that, I think it'd be a lot harder.
And perfect example is right now, we wouldn't be able to be living the lifestyle that we have off of just his income while I'm still finishing school if we still were carrying those car payments. When we first started dating, his car payment was over $500 and mine was over $300. So I mean, that's almost $1,000 right there, which we now have in liquid every month, which is nice.
So once you become debt free, what is the journey? Have you guys had any kind of dream talks, or kind of have any plans for what it might look like after you're debt free?
Well, I feel like this is a ever evolving blob at this point because it's not really concrete. I'm a big planner. And he's not so much the planner. He's, once there's a plan in place, he is 110% committed. So we kind of balance each other out with that. So right now, our plan that we're hoping for is to, one, be able to grow our family. We're planning on having kids and adopting kids, doing like a mixed family. So we'll definitely have kids with childcare costs and all of that. But also we're really interested in buying property and growing a investment portfolio, rental properties, probably somewhere in or around Indiana, which is where he and his family are from. So we can try and slowly build that up as well while we're still living here in California, making California money with the hopes to someday like retire out there.
Nice. I appreciate you letting me interview you and ask you some questions. That's awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button, and hopefully we'll get another follow-up interview with Annalisa here, and we'll celebrate when she's debt free again.